Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to our next day of Readers Workshop. I know that it's Wednesday, but I'm going to do another read aloud because I really want us to get used to reading different kinds of books and talking about them and comparing them to one another. And so today we're going to read a new book called Square, which is kind of like what we've been exploring in math. And I'm just so excited to share this book with you because I think it's really funny, but also talks a lot about different feelings, which I love talking about. And so this is your interactive journal. You're going to have your seesaw copy. The first page is always the teacher's copy. That way you can see what we wrote and it can help you and guide you. And then the second page is going to be for you, and I'm going to try to add some sentence frames there. That way you know exactly how to respond. So again, make sure when you're watching the video, you can pause the YouTube video and then go click Seesaw and fill it out as you're reading, which I prefer you to do. Or if you don't have enough time, you can watch the whole video and then do the interactive journal afterwards. Okay, so here we go. Let me make sure it's loud enough for you to hear.
Square by Matt Barnett and John Colasson. This is Square. This is Square's secret cave. Every day, Square goes down into his cave and takes a block from the pile below the ground. He pushes the block up and out of the cave. He brings the block to the pile at the top of the hill. This is his work.
Oops, let me pause right there. We're going to do our first stop and draw. I want you to look at his pile of blocks. I want you to draw, what could you make with his pile of blocks? Go ahead and draw and think. And remember, look at the shapes that you see in his pile, because we want to use the shapes we see in his pile, and you can draw whatever you think you can make out of this pile. Remember, there's no wrong answers. We want you to be creative because we don't even know how many blocks there are. I can't wait to hear, Missy Kimowich. What did you come up with?
I just drew a bunch of blocks together, and I think it could be his house.
That is so adorable. Wow, Miss Rosales did the same thing. I love that. Maybe he's going to build a little house. But I noticed that you and Miss Rosales have different counts on your pile. So you had 2 rows of 3 blocks.
Oh, yeah. I didn't count the number of squares exactly. I just came up with a little, I don't know, came up with as many as I could. I wasn't paying attention to how many he had.
But I'm glad you used all squares because I think that's what he had. He had a pile of all squares. So maybe he made a house. Miss Hernandez, did you want to share?
Sure. I thought Square was a little more ambitious, so he made a tall building.
Wow. That's beautiful. And I love that our teachers are labeling their drawings and telling me what they're drawing, because if you drew it and you just left that there, I would be like, what did you draw? What did you make? Because this could kind of look like a shoe, right? But I'm glad that Miss Hernandez told me it was a building. So remember to label, because although we are all artists, it's helpful to know what your original intention was.
Mm-hmm.
Building. Awesome. Let's go back to the story. Let's see if he's going to make anything.
This is his work. One day, while Square was doing his work, Circle floated by. Square, said Circle, you're a genius. I did not know you were a sculptor. Ah, yes, said Square. What is a sculptor? A sculptor shapes blocks into art, said Circle. Ah, yes, said Square. I see what you mean. But he did not really see what she meant. This is a wonderful sculpture, said Circle. It looks just like you. Square looked at his block. Yes, I suppose it is wonderful. Now, said Circle, you must do one of me. Oh, said Square. I will come back for it tomorrow. Goodbye, genius. Circle, said Square. I think I should tell you something.
I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to do a stop and jot. What do you think Circle's thinking? What's happening inside Circle's head? Because it seems like there must have been a little misunderstanding going on. What is Circle thinking in this situation? And we can talk about, we're going to share our answers at the end of it. So Circle, it thinks, could be your stop and jot. And teachers, when you're ready, you can give me a thumbs up.
Can I see the text again?
Of course. And I love that Ms. Rosales asked us to do that because we always go back to the text if we need to reread something.
Miss, can I ask a question?
Of course.
So we want to know what Circle is thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we can look at the pictures to help us figure out what's going on. We can look at the text, and I can replay just that little part because I know our reader is actually reading it pretty quickly. So I can go back here.
But he did not really.
Oops. Right here.
Said Circle. You're a genius. I did not know you were a sculptor. Ah, yes, said Square. What is a sculptor? A sculptor shapes blocks into art, said Circle. Ah, yes, said Square. I see what you mean. But he did not really see what she meant. This is a wonderful sculpture, said Circle. It looks just like you. Square looked at his block. Yes, I suppose it is wonderful. Now, said Circle, you must do one of me. Oh, said Square. I will come back for it tomorrow. Goodbye, genius. Circle, said Square. I think I should tell you something.
Awesome. So I'll give your teacher some time to think. I see Ms. Yakimowicz is ready though. I'll let you share first.
Okay, so I wrote that Circle thinks Square sculpted the square block.
Oopsies. And can you tell me why you think that?
Because he said that you were a genius of being a sculptor, and a sculptor is someone who creates things out of blocks or clay.
Mm-hmm. Awesome explanation. And I love that you're going back to the text to support your answer. Awesome. Ms. Hernandez?
So I wrote, Circle thinks Square can do anything because she called him a genius. And since she thinks that Square created that block, that he can create a circle just like her.
Exactly. I love that. And she thinks so highly of him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I'm going to make sure to capitalize the S in Square because in this story, they're names of our characters. So we want to capitalize C in Circle and S in Square. But if we're just talking about any shape, like over here, I didn't capitalize Square here because this is describing the block. So there's a difference, okay? Ms. Rosales?
So I said that Circle thinks Square won't have any problem, or problems actually. I should really reread my work. And no time at all to do it. So he'll have no time at all to do it.
So Circle thinks Square won't have problems and no time at all to do it. So you think Circle thinks that Square won't be able to do it?
No, he thinks that Circle thinks that he'll be able to do it. He has the capacity to do it. He won't have any issues doing it, and it will take him no time at all to do it.
Oh.
I think that you just need to reword my work. Thank you.
Circle thinks Square won't have any problems and
thank you, Miss.
no trouble finishing. Awesome. That's why I asked for clarification. That's why it's really important when we clarify each other's thinking. That way we can really understand what we're talking about. Awesome. Thank you. Let's go back to the story and see what happened.
But she was already gone. Oh dear, 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 said Square. He studied the block. I have to make this block look like circle, he said. Circle is perfect, so I must make this perfect. Square got to work shaping the block. Oh, crumbs, said Square. This is not perfect. Oh, dirt, said Square. This is much worse. He went back to work. He worked and worked and worked and worked. Ah, cried Square. He had carved the whole block away. There was nothing left. He was surrounded by rubble. Whatever is the opposite of perfect, that is what this is. I must stay up all night and figure this out.
I'm going to pause this right here, and I want you to think about, what is Square feeling right now? So take some time to think, what do you think Square is feeling? And sometimes when I don't know what a character is feeling, I like to put myself in their shoes and think, well, if that was happening to me, what would I feel? So go ahead and do your stop and jot. Square feels, or I think Square feels. And remember, you can always pause and rewind the story to reread it, to go back and see what happened to help you out. Yes, Ms. Rosales?
I think Square feels anxious.
Why do you think Square feels anxious?
Because he feels pressure to finish something that he cannot do. Or he feels that he cannot do, given the time.
Exactly. It's just not going according to his plan, right? Awesome. Ms. Akimovich?
I said that I think Square feels nervous because he wants his block to be perfect, just like circle.
And I know you got that from the text because I remember it saying he wanted circle is perfect and has to be just like circle. So again, great job using our text evidence. Ms. Hernandez?
So I wrote Square feels determined to make a circle for circle. It sounds like he is not going to give up. He's just going to go for it.
Yeah. And the last sentence, he's like, I must stay up all night and figure this out, right? I love his determination here. Okay, let's see what happens.
Square fell asleep. The next morning, Square woke up wet. He despaired. What have I done? I push blocks. I do not shape them. I am not a genius. Hello, genius, said Circle. I am early. Oh dear, whispered Square. Are you finished? Asked Circle. Oh, yes, said Square. I am finished. Circle peered down. Oh my, she said.
So let's just stop. We're going to stop right here and we're going to do a stop and talk. What do you think is going to happen next? Ms. Rosales?
He's still going to call him a genius.
You think he's still call a genius? That's very kind of Circle because it just doesn't look like it turned out great at all.
But it's all in perception.
Ms. Akimowicz?
I think it's perfect for Circle because it's like a little pond from the rain, and he can see she can see her reflection.
Yeah,
like a circle.
Exactly. Maybe he was able to create Circle because there's a reflection of Circle in that little thing he made. Ms. Hernandez?
I think she's going to say that he did a perfect job because that pond is in a circle shape.
Oh, so I'm noticing lots of different things that this author is doing. There's an actual circle made out of the rocks, and there's a reflection in the pond. Ooh, let's see what happens.
It was beautiful. It was beguiling. It is perfect, said Circle. It is? Asked Square. Yes, said Circle. You're a genius, said Circle. But was he really?
So that's how the story ends. And I love that these books, and there's another, if you guys really like this book, there's another book called Triangle and another book called Circle with the same author. But I love it because the author always ends in a question, because it asks you, he's like, but was he really? Was he really a genius? And I want to ask you guys to think, did you think that Square is a genius? Why or why not? And then that's going to be your last stop and draw right here. Do you think Square is a genius? And remember that there's some answers or questions that don't have all the same answers. As long as you can tell me why you think a certain way, you might be right, because as long as you're able to support your thinking and it makes sense to me, I would love to hear your thoughts, because this is one of those questions that does not have a right answer. It just needs to have a supported answer. Ms. Akimowicz, would you like to share?
Yes, I said that I think Square is very talented and creative, but I'm not sure if he's a genius.
I love that. And can you tell me why you think that?
When I think of a genius, I think of someone who is very book smart, but maybe there are other types of geniuses where there's like artistic geniuses. But that's just the feeling I get when I hear the word genius. I think of someone who's able to give a lot of information or knows how to calculate math problems in their head. That's what I think of when I think of a genius.
I love that, exactly. So I love that Ms. Akimowicz helped us define genius. It's someone who's like really, really smart in certain skills. And so in this situation, because we saw how Square was, what he was doing throughout the story, we know he didn't plan to create that final object. So for some of us, that might not tell us that Square is a genius. Ms. Hernandez?
So I wrote Square may not be a genius because he had no idea what he was doing. And I feel like with the genius, you do have a goal in mind. You do know what you want to do. But when you're stuck, you try to problem solve. And I kind of didn't see that from Square.
I love that explanation as well. Awesome. Ms. Rosales, did you have a thought?
I said he was. So I said, I think he is a genius because he was able to create something that others can interpret any which way. And I go back to that thought where he didn't intentionally create that pond. It happened, but again, it's all on through the eyes of who perceives it or sees it. So it's really nice to be able to think that he is capable of maybe even more if he had a plan.
Yes, and I wonder, it doesn't tell us that, right? That's why I'm excited to read other books. But it also makes me think that maybe sometimes some of these character traits, it depends on who's looking at what's happening, right? We might not think Square is a genius because we saw everything he went through, but in Circle's eyes, she had no idea this was happening. So in Circle's thought process, she might say that, yeah, for sure, Square is a genius because he was able to create something out of nothing, right? So sometimes it really does depend on our perspectives, and that's why our perspectives really are so important. So again, I love all our thoughts and getting to learn from one another's thinking. And so I want to make sure you guys write your rating out of 5 stars here. I'm going to ask the teachers in a count of 3 to tell me how many stars they'd give this story. Remember, 1 means, it was okay. It wasn't the very best story that I've read. To 5 meaning it was amazing. So go ahead and 1, 2, 3. Show me the number of stars you'd give it. 4 and 5. And again, I love that we all have very different opinions. I'm going to put 4 stars just to make it a little bit different because I know that every story we've been reading, we've been having 5 stars, which is great. I love that. 2, 3, 4. But in Miss Rosales' interactive journal, she'd have 5 stars. So again, it's your opinion. Some stories we like, you might not like, and some stories you like, we might not like, and that's okay. But we are so excited to see what you're going to come up with. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Mm-hmm.